Today's video is sponsored by Native Sons Goods, makers of the highest quality woven guitar, bag, and camera straps you'll ever see. Native Sons straps are handmade one at a time in the USA with unparalleled love and care. Click the link in the description to check out their new expanded lineup featuring all new 3-inch guitar straps. And remember, when you support my sponsor, you support this channel, and I sure appreciate it.
Hey y'all, it's Shitpost Friday!
Hello, good people. Brad the Guitarologist here, and it's time again for another splendiferous episode of
Shitpost Friday.
Okay, first up this Shitpost Friday. Actually, I'm filming this Shitpost Friday on Wednesday, and on Wednesday, earlier today, I released a video about Gibson's new cluster that they've managed to dislodge from their anus, where they ran over literally hundreds of warehouse stock factory Firebird X guitars. Brand new, nothing wrong with them. Nothing wrong that you could see. Clearly they just look like they had been sitting around a while, and it was stuff they couldn't sell because the guitar didn't have a very good reputation. It didn't have a big following of people who really wanted one, so they had a whole bunch of them, literally hundreds. There was a video that Trogley's Guitar Show put up, and he sat and counted about almost 400 of the things. So, literally there's about 400 guitars that they run over with this excavator. So, if you haven't seen that video, I highly recommend you go check that out. Otherwise, you're not going to understand very much going forward right now. So, definitely check that out. I'll put a link down in the description. But, as I usually do whenever I, highly criticize or I put something up that might actually damage the reputation of a guitar company or something, I did offer Gibson a chance to respond. I reached out through their online contact page and said, hey, do you guys want to offer a response to this before this thing goes viral? And I do believe it is going to go viral. And they did get back to me, actually. They sent me this, which reads, and I'll read it to you, the Firebird X destruction video that surfaced months ago. And actually, this video did not surface months ago. So right away, they're already, I would say, either they don't know that this video didn't really surface months ago, and it's only about 24 hours old on the internet, or they're lying about that to try to downplay this and try to make it appear as if, oh, this is old news, which it's not really old news to those of us who pay attention. This didn't surface months ago. It was taken months ago, but it didn't surface months ago. It just literally surfaced this past Tuesday or Wednesday. It was an isolated bunch of Firebird X models built in 2009 to 2011, which were unsalvageable and damaged with unsafe components. Okay, now the unsafe part is the real kicker here. Now we could probably accept, because we can't really go in and look at all these guitars, so we can't now, obviously we're not going to be able to determine whether they were unsalvageable or damaged in any way. They look to me like they're perfect guitars. And in fact, BJ said they were perfect guitars. They were all in boxes. In fact, in the video, you can even see the boxes that they had come out of in the background. So they had basically taken these out of the packaging to destroy them on the ground here. So like I said, we can't confirm that they're unsalvageable. We can't confirm that they were damaged. So we'll have to take this person's word for it, who again is a PR agent that Gibson has hired to create this response. But the unsafe components, what does that mean exactly? So I actually hit them back up with another email and said, hey, so what exactly do you mean by unsafe components? Specifically, what components are unsafe in the Firebird X? And will you guys actually be offering a recall on the existing Firebird X models that are already in the market? Because, if they're unsafe, they have the same components, right? So I'm still awaiting a response on that. Hopefully they get back to me, because if something truly is unsafe, obviously we don't want people cutting themselves on, some hardware. We don't want I can't even keep a straight face. It's absolutely and utterly ridiculous. You know it, I know it. This person who was the hired PR agent knows it. They're just trying to thwart the thousands of comments that are out there on all of these videos now that are saying the same thing everyone else is saying and thinking the same thing everyone else is thinking. Why on earth did you not just make a charitable donation of these things to some good charities, like some children's charities or some music charities or some people who do work with veterans or something, you know, who come back from war with PTSD, and you know, and they're using music as therapy to get over their PTSD. There are any number of ways you could have spent this capital that you had, these and you know, these assets, but instead you were presented with this choice. And you just chose the nuclear option to run them over with an excavator. I'm a libertarian. I believe in property rights. I absolutely believe in Gibson's right to do whatever they want with this stuff. But, you know, it's not good capitalism. And, you know, for all the people who came onto my video and said, hey, this is the wages of this is just bad, you know, capitalists. This is the wages of capitalism or something like that. Well, no, it's not. These are not good capitalists at work here. What we're witnessing is, and again, you know, this is presuming that these things were not unsafe as it's being claimed. I've never in my life seen an unsafe component on a guitar. I mean, maybe something that kind of hurt your hand a little bit if you played too hard, or you got a little scratch or something on a Floyd Rose bridge, you know, if it had a little burr or something on it, you know. But hundreds of guitars straight from the factory having these unsafe components that are going to explode or something.
2, 3, 4.
I don't get it. I think it's BS. But anyway, as presuming that these things are indeed not unsafe, why on earth did you not take any one of these other options besides running them over with an excavator? A very terse cost-benefit analysis here by a good capitalist would have told you that it's far better to take the PR coup that you could have, you could have absolutely gotten from giving these things away to charities. You could have harnessed that into some kind of press release and gotten some free publicity from that, and you would have also taken the same write-off that you obviously took anyway. So essentially what it comes down to is they were trying to get it off the books before the end of the year, because at the end of every year a business has to take an inventory and they have to account for what's there, their assets, and they have to pay taxes on the assets that are there. So they wanted to avoid paying those taxes, and they just destroyed the things out of sheer, I'm guessing, laziness, because they didn't feel like doing anything else with them. It's just like, okay, we're closing down the factory, and we're too lazy to do anything with it, so let's just get rid of them. You know, the other thing they could have done, obviously, is sell this stuff to wholesalers. They could have made one wholesale sale to one seller. They could have auctioned them off separately as as factory B stock or what have you, and recouped their expenses on this stuff. But instead, they just took the loss and wrote it all off. And again, they could have done that just as easily by writing it off as a charitable donation. So, you know, they're trying to downplay the despicableness of this action with this PR press release that they basically have sent me, this form letter. The person who responded to me was Libby Coffee from Prime PR Group. And she continues, Gibson recently announced its relaunch of the Gibson Foundation. Since 2002, the Gibson Foundation has provided thousands of guitars and donations to schools and charities in excess of $30 million. And I presume you did the same thing in those cases as well. You took some stuff that was, you know, kind of on the books, and it's like, okay, you know, what can we do with these that's creative and helps some people? And that's fine. That's perfect. That's why charities exist. That's why you should do that. As a starting point, Gibson has committed to giving a guitar a day away over the next 1,000 days, which is good. 100% of donations to the Gibson Foundation go directly towards giving the gift of music, reaffirming Gibson's commitment to giving back, helping underserved music education programs, empowering music culture, and encouraging the creation of music. So while I can appreciate all that, once again, you know, and I do appreciate that. I appreciate anybody who gives to a charity like that and tries to help people out. That's great. But what I was saying right here, they could have easily done that in this case, and it wouldn't have hurt them. Now, the whole thing with unsafe, you know, we could argue that back and forth all day long, and I suspect that's why that was put in there, so it would put some bit of doubt in our minds. Is like, okay, well, they were unsafe. We can't give the children things that are unsafe. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe the batteries were exploding or something. I don't know. I mean, you tell me. Maybe I don't know, maybe something in the plastic they used on the accessory pack was gassing off and known to cause cancer or something. I could be wrong. Maybe there's some outside chance that I am wrong, and in that case, mea culpa, but I just don't see it. I think on this one, it's just another example of Gibson just opening their mouth and just taking a big hard to the face. Also in the news, I want to say a big word of congratulations to Boaz El-Kayem and also Morris and also the rest of the Boaz One team. The Boaz One has gone up on Kickstarter. I had thought it was going to go on Indiegogo, but it actually went on to Kickstarter. Within the first actually 12 hours of this Kickstarter being up, they had raised about $110,000. And that is, to me, is just an amazing amount of money. Their goal was $20,000. So they have smashed through the goal that they had set for themselves. And I just want to congratulate Boaz and his team. If you guys are still in the market for one of these Boaz, you can get one at a very steep discount if you go and get one through the Kickstarter now. They have actually different packages that you can get. I got the one that was like... where you could get the upgraded body that has the stand on it and the brass bridge, which is the nicer adjustable bridge. And it also comes with all three of the modules that snap in and out. So I've got the Les Paul style module and the Strat style and also the Tele style. So that cost me about $630 shipped. And it should get here, they say, by the middle of next year. I'm really excited to be in on the ground floor of that, and I just want to thank them for being so nice to me. They said some very nice things about me in some of the comments and stuff as well, and yeah, I definitely wish them all the best. Also, in another bit of contrast to Gibson's, way of getting rid of inventory, I saw this as well, which is Peavey is going to hold an auction to get rid of $12 million worth of old, unsold guitars, amps, and raw materials. And isn't this exactly what I was just talking about? They're actually going to auction this stuff off rather than take it out back and burn it. If you go to the bottom of this particular article, there is a link there where you can check out the actual auction listings, and you can bid on this stuff if you want to. You can go pick it up. I'm not sure if they'll ship it to you, but you can go pick it up. You will pay a bit of a premium when you bid, but that's to be expected. But there are all kinds of things here. You guys have got to check this out. There's everything from massive road cases that look like they could hold giant mixing boards and PA systems to just, you name it, man. Everything that basically Peavey made or was under their roof is being auctioned off. They've got a lot of stuff. We're talking about big, bass bin speakers. We've got the raw speakers. You've got Crest Audio stuff, amplifiers. You got drum sets. You've got raw speaker cabinets. You've got the carpeting to cover the speaker cabinets in big rolls. So basically everything that would have taken... it would have been on the shelves in the day-to-day operation of Peavey in their Mississippi factory is up for sale. And all this stuff, I guess, is going to go. I'm not sure what exactly the close date is, but it's probably going to be relatively soon. So yeah, if you guys are interested in that, definitely go over there, maybe bid on a few things. It looks like Peavey is in the process of just liquidating everything that's left in these factories now that they've pretty much moved production completely overseas. If you guys will recall, not too long ago, Hartley Peavey and Peavey Corporation were the subject of an Undercover Boss episode, which was, I mean, you talk about PR nightmares. That was probably one of the worst in music instrument history because what ended up happening was... the boss goes in, the Peavey boss goes into the factory undercover, and he works on the lines, and he promises these individual employees like raises and betterment of their careers and all these opportunities and, I don't know, like education and all this stuff. They just start throwing against the wall like it's spaghetti, and see what sticks. Come to find out, like, before the episode had even aired on TV, they had already decided to move production overseas, which was just an absolute PR night. You can imagine the PR nightmare of that. Like, you know, their whole thing was, you know, made in the USA, made in the USA, made in the USA, and then they decide they're going to move everything overseas. So really, really disheartening that was. And, you know, at least they're not burning all this stuff. It looks like they're doing it the right way, and they're going to try to sell some of the stuff off to liquidate it. And I guess they're going to rent out their old factory space, or they're just going to sell it all together. And that'll be the end of Peavey in the U.S. of A. Pretty much, functionally. With the march of globalism and everything, you know, that's just the way it's all headed. I don't approve of it. I'm glad companies like Gibson are still making guitars in the United States, but you know, you guys have just you've got to be better stewards, you know, of the raw materials that we have on this earth, man. It's just, you can't just fucking run over stuff with a loader and think people are going to applaud that. Another interesting development, as I was getting ready to edit this Shitpost Friday, this video popped up, and as of right now, it only has 144 views and 13 comments, and one of those comments is mine, and it's by BJ's World once again. So BJ's at it again. He's actually put up the video that he told me on the phone he already had on the channel, but I guess he realized he had not uploaded it yet. So he went ahead and uploaded this video. So just to add insult to injury, if you guys weren't sick of seeing Gibson guitars destroyed enough, check this out. But yeah, there's a whole line of ES guitars there. I mean, pretty much finished, just without any hardware or pickups. And it looks to me like he said, they were pretty much there. They just had to be finished off. And this dude just stomps on the necks and then bandsaws them in half and just casts them aside. And there's, you know, like I said, there's a good 20 of them there. So definitely makes the heart sick. It makes the heart ache a little bit to see these Gibson ES guitars just treated in this way. Yeah, definitely thanks to BJ for posting this kind of stuff. It's really really interesting to see it. I always knew that this sort of thing was happening at Gibson. I'd heard tell of you know, a lot of employees at Gibson who would go scrounging around in the dumpster after hours, after they got off work, to go grab something they knew was in there, you know, that had been thrown away. And you know, people would talk about a lot of the luthiers at Gibson taking stuff home and finishing it up, you know, in their spare time, and putting their own names and stuff on the headstocks and doing it their own way. And you know, this just goes to show how much of this stuff must really go on if it's kind of this common. All right, and that will do it for the news. Let's open some viewer mail. This is from Redheaded Step Stacker. Okay, I think I know what this is because he contacted me, and he has a YouTube channel also where he does stacking videos, he calls it, where, you know, it's about collecting coins. So usually it'll be like, yeah, very cool. So he collects silver coins, and these are silver. If you don't know, in the United States, most of the coinage before 1964 was silver coinage, with the exception of nickels, which were nickel, also in pennies, which were copper. There are different cutoffs for different coins, but most of the silver stuff, what you will find, will be pre-1964. I used to do this all the time. I would go through my change, and I would take out anything that was pre-1964. Every now and then you get lucky, but for the most part, everything that's pre-64 is already driven out of the currency and is in people's collections. But it'll be real silver. It'll be in the United States, it will be, I believe, 90% coin silver in the U.S. It'll be sterling in the UK. But you'll learn all this fairly rapidly. If you go to coinflation.com, you can actually see how much the coins used to actually be worth. So if you find like a dime, for instance, or if you find a quarter that's pre-1964, or you find a $50 or a dollar that's pre-1964, you can see what the actual melt value of that coin would be with today's silver prices. So that's something I used to do a lot, actually. Let's see, this is Dear Brad, digging deep in your channel. Last year I found videos pertaining to silver. That started me down a rabbit hole. I learned for $20 a week I could retain and build my wealth status slowly and steadily. Yeah, that's pretty much what I did too. I started a YouTube channel, was quickly taken under the wing of some big YouTube stackers. See, I never knew it as stackers. I didn't know what that meant before you mentioned it in your emails. Because of some of my comedy skills. Stop by and visit me at Redheaded Step Stacker. Thanks for raising my wealth. Yeah, man, thank you for this. I appreciate that. Those will go in my collection for sure. I've got a few silver and gold coins left that I've collected over the years. I started doing this. I started doing that in about 2006 or 7. And I would go actually to pawn shops a lot, and I would. There was one pawn shop, two actually in particular, where anytime they got any kind of silver coin in, and I would stick to coins because coins are something that are stamped, that are government stamped. They're harder to counterfeit, and it's something that will always be worth what it's worth. Anyone who you trade with on the street even will know what they are. They'll know the silver content, so you'll always be able to get your money back out of something like this if you get into it properly. And what I always did was because a lot of these pawn shops, what they do with some of their coals is they will take them and just cash them in for silver value. So they'll take them to the silver, to the melt facility or whatever. Now the melt facility probably doesn't melt them. They'll actually either put them back on the market, or they'll trade them also. I'm sure they don't melt them, not coins, but they will pay them melt value. So a lot of the pawn shops that you find will actually pay. They will sell those coins, the culls at least, for melt value, so they can get out of them. So and then they'll pay maybe 10, 20. 30% below spot price to the person that they're buying it from. So they're making their money, and the melt facility makes their money. But I got in the middle of this transaction on a couple of these, and I said, hey, instead of taking these to the melt facility, just call me anytime you have a hoard of these. I will come in and I will buy them off of you. And I started doing that, and every week, anything that I sold, like I was buying and selling guitars a lot, and any money that I made buying and selling guitars, I would go and I would actually just sink it all into silver or gold coin, and that went straight into my my stash. And eventually, the house that I'm living in now got its down payment from me liquidating all my gold and silver. So I don't have a whole lot of it left. I do have a few pieces, like I said, things that I kept. But yeah, liquidated all that stuff at one point and just made out like a bandit. So it is possible to do this if you play your cards right, and you know what you're looking for, and you know what you're looking at, and you're not stupid about it. You can definitely make some money, what he's calling stacking, but I always call just collecting gold and silver coins. So very cool. And this is something too that because I'm just kind of always been a little bit paranoid about the way that the stock market could just pull the rug out from under your feet and everything. This is really one way that you can ensure that your wealth does not just go up in flames one day because some bankers decided to do something that they shouldn't have been doing, like the last time we had a major recession. So definitely check him out, Redheaded Stacker. I appreciate that, man. Redheaded Step Stacker. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Alright guys, so that's going to do it for this episode of Shitpost Friday. I hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have, hit subscribe down below. Hit the bell to receive all notifications, please. And we will see y'all later.